Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon. This is Indy Comics Explained. Yet again, I brought another fantastic group of independent comic book creators. So, without further ado, I'm just gonna bring on the guy, and also just before I even bring him, hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video, let everybody know we're here. And here's the dude. Here's the dude. Here's the dude. There he is.
Hello, la la la. What's up, kid? How you doing?
Son, we're fine.
Good. I'm glad. You know who else is fine? Oh my God! It shouldn't have taken so long for you to answer. The tanned and readied comic book creators who are going to show up tonight and talk to us about what they've been doing, right?
Okay. Well, I mean, we got Tom. I'm not exactly fan, Tom.
I don't know. He's got his own lake. He should be tanned.
Come on. Trust me, I'm freaking tan. You may not see it here, but I've been in the sun a lot. I am readily rocking the farmer tan. Like, check that out. That's real, man.
Nice. He would refer to it as the garbage man tan, but okay.
Yeah. Either way.
There you go. I just got a natural red blood pressure face going on. No tan at all.
Comic book, introvert tan that, goes out for 2 hours every day and then stays inside.
Nice. All right, cool. Nice. Let's bring on Randy. How you doing, Randy?
You can't get a tan by living in your basement. Here we are. I'm all right.
So, Randy, please introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm Randy Zimmerman. You can find my work over at arrowcomics.store. You can currently find The Shadow Kingdom, though, which is the latest thing that I've done that's out with artwork by Russ Leach. You can find that over at Barnes & Noble and Amazon.com and in about 3 or 4 different formats. So go over there and look that up. This is a Robert E. Howard story that we've adapted to comics. It's the first sword and sorcery story that Howard did that's officially in public domain, and we just love the story so much we did a faithful adaptation of it, and it's turned out real well. So
nice.
Yep. And look, I got a copy. It's awesome. I would suggest getting one.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Ed, how you doing?
I'm good. So I'm Ed Davis from Finish Line Comics. I have 2 ongoing series, Corruptor and Immortal Era. I also rock a nice farmer tan, so that's called running in short sleeves in the hot California heat, and you develop it. I'm like, I guess I could fill it in the rest of the way, but like you said, that would require more time outside, and once I finish my run, I've reached my quota.
Nice.
Running, Jay, is where you move really fast with your 2 legs.
I'm allergic.
Okay.
Yeah. Running's my mortal enemy.
What's up, Kenny? Please introduce yourself.
My name is Kenny Aitken from Moonfire Lab. That's my comics label. I am the creator of Apex, Cybernetic, Samurai Owl, and a comic series called Blue Heart Emoji.
All right, cool. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Tony James. How are you, sir?
Hey, how's it going? I'm Tony James, creator of a book called Star Noir. That's on Kickstarter and Indiegogo at the same time. And I have a tan because I went to Puerto Rico for 2 weeks.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
That'll do it. That will do it every time. All right. So, gentlemen, let's start. Show question. What motivates you to create comics? All right. Very simple, very easy, very easy question. Tony. You're up, sir.
Yeah, it's a combination of 2 things. One, it's just I have a natural affinity towards this thing. I've done pretty much everything. I've played instruments, I've played sports. Nothing really clicks, and the only thing that really clicks is making comics. And so it's when the shoe kind of feels on the right foot. And then the other thing is just trying to take care of the people around me. I'm sure you guys have a little bit of that going on yourselves.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm trying to take care of Jay, but it's just not working. Right? Kenny, what are your thoughts? What motivates you to do this?
Well, I mean, obviously, it's for all the women and the fame, fortune, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
I think
it's like movies, right? Sleep with the writer.
Right. I mean, I just like the medium. It's fun. I like. Eventually, I think I'm going to move into animation, maybe. And I'm currently trying to figure out how to make a video game. But comics is just kind of like a really good, I guess, for me, just a starting point to get my ideas out and just have fun. So.
All right. Fair enough. Ed, what are your thoughts?
It's for that Brinks truck that they backed into my driveway the moment I dropped my first book. No, so it's not for the money. If you're an indie creator, we're storytellers. We want to tell our story, and you love it when a fan comes back to you and tells you how much they love their issue, how angry they are at a character decision you've made or something like that, and that kind of feeds that need to create and put new things into the world. And maybe one day the Brinks truck will come, but it'll probably be for the neighbors.
Fair enough. Randy, what are your thoughts?
Did it for the art form, grew up in comics, and comics were a kind of a lifesaver for me, growing up in a small town with not much to do but sit around and read. And it's such a great form of communication. It's something that I've always wanted to do. It's something that I've always felt the drive to do. So that's what I do.
All right, cool. Tom?
It's I don't want to have a job. How's that?
I like that.
I growing up, I had all the jobs, man. I was everywhere doing all kinds of crap. I mean, I was even doing security at Universal Amphitheater, and I've had office jobs, and I've had, just like all the fucking jobs.
Do me a favor, start from the bottom of your CV and work your way up. First year, first month, and salary. Go ahead. Start.
I worked in a peach field picking peaches and corn over the summers for a while. How's that?
Nice.
Baling hay, painting barns. Like, I mean, I've done
painting barns,
the jobs, man. And outside of if it paid a little better, security was amazing. I loved working security because you could just fucking throw people around, man. And the guys that hired you were like, see those guys? They don't get on stage, and I don't care what you have to do to keep them off the stage. So there was some fun moments in that, but at the end of the day, like, you're still, even when I had a really legitimately good job and I was making legitimately, good money, which is where I was working in sports cards. And I was dealing with like the NFL and MLB and NASCAR, and I was dealing direct with those kinds of guys. I still was working for somebody else who was fucking tolerable, but prone to insanity. And like, I just, when I got the opportunity to be like, hey, can I make comics? I was like, I don't know, but I sure as hell I'm going to find out. And so we dove all the way into it. And, we had a really great first year, considering we were a zero company with zero names and zero anything. And we got a great reaction. And that was now 14 years ago. And that's basically what I've been doing ever since. And so, there is, of course, the love of comics. That's a thing that we all have. But I didn't even have any right to be a writer. I mean, I was like getting D's in English class because I didn't read the books or, whatever. I was squeaking by with getting, passing tests by the skin of my teeth. So how I became an actual writer, I don't know. The creative side of comics has always been something that I was into. I used to be an art dealer and so on. And I love the art side. That's where I wanted to be. I wanted to be an artist, but I realized pretty quick that's not going to happen. So I fell into what if I could write something, and that's where Critter came from. Penny for Your Soul followed, and then we were kind of off to the races. In year 3 with Legend of Oz, we had a book in the top, Diamond Top 300 in our second and a half year. So I was like, holy crap, I think I can do this. And so, I just kind of dug in my heels and took a leap of faith, and still here.
All right. Very nice, very nice. Just like Dorothy. You dug in the heels.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. Jay?
Tom, you picked peaches for money. I picked avocados in Puerto Rico one summer on my grandfather's ranch. So I didn't get paid. You know what I mean? It was the family work. It was the family obligation. So I know what that's like. When it comes to your question, Calderon, it's you ever watch a heist movie? right? And you always see the lead say, "Oh, I'm always thinking about the angles," right?
Mhm.
That's me. Whenever I watch a movie, see a show, read a book, right? I'm always thinking about the angle of the story. How can I take it on a different path? What can I apply to it? What can I do on my own? How can I make it my own? And I can't shut it off. I can't. I want to, right? I want to get rid of the voices in my head. The only way, the only way I can do that is to write comic books.
Are you sure that's not Galactus talking to you?
Sometimes he does.
Okay.
But it's like sometimes when I'm, laying out a script, I'm acting it out, right? And I'm doing voices. So maybe voiceover work would have been a good job for me too. But that's it. I'm always looking at the angle of the story, right? And just trying to find out a way to put my twist on it. Could I have done something that I thought would have been interesting from my perspective? That's it, and like everybody else, I loved comic books. I'm not gonna disavow any of that, right? I grew up reading it. Whenever I could find it at a Walgreens in Puerto Rico or at a corner store here in New York, I was just, I was all over it. It was it. I don't want to say it saved me, but growing up in New York, my mom loved it when I read comic books because it kept me from being a knucklehead on the street, right? $2, I was getting, 3 books, 4 books, and I was at home and I was just going over it and trying to recreate it and draw it or just tell another story from it. Comic books have always been part of my life. So I can't stop. Shit, my wife only married me so she could get into Comic-Con for free. Yeah.
Are you sure she's not married to Galactus?
She did. She married
okay.
that too. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. All right, cool. For myself, it was a matter of escapism. I mean, Jay and I come from similar backgrounds, rough neighborhoods, growing up in the ghetto pretty much. And, choices were tight. You see a lot of dudes falling into things that you would hope they didn't fall into. And it was a way for me to escape that. You know what I mean? Not get involved, like Jay said, being a knucklehead on the street, and that, let me tell you, it was easy, because there was easy money to be made out there. That's why. So, to get away, but, and listen, I mean, there's, for me, it led into reading prose, and it led into reading Shakespeare, and it led into like appreciating, like, some would say greater arts, right? But, for myself, comics is the greatest art that we have, so, and it's the art that I stick with, it's the art that I most enjoy. So there it is.
So you went into comics instead of joining a karate dojo in the 80s? That's how you get away from the bad guys, right?
Well, no, I actually did join the karate dojo.
Oh, okay. All right.
What he didn't do was join the breakdancing dance troupe, that toured the country on the videos and stuff, right?
No, I wasn't. Jay, you're up, bro.
Yeah, that bomb.
Yeah, I mean,
Come on, Electric Boogaloo 1 and 2. Fast forward. Come on. No, nothing. Beat Street.
Nope.
No. Full on deaf ears. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Former Marvel and DC artist Thomas Tenney is falling on tough times. Right. He was a creator who did artwork on books like Iron Man. And he's in jeopardy of losing his house, right? Work has been slim. But this is not the first time we've heard this story, right? As unfortunate as it is. Mm-hmm. So many of the senior creators out there. Oh my God, I keep forgetting the name of the support group. Heroes.
Hero Alliance.
Hero Alliance? No.
Not Hero Alliance.
No, it's
Isn't it just Hero Initiative?
Hero Initiative.
Hero Initiative.
That's it. Yeah.
Right. How many creators have to, seek help from there because they didn't have a pension, they didn't have a way to protect their future. And this is not me knocking them at all. You know what I mean? They've provided work for us that has, for some of us, is cherished. The Hero Initiative. Right. Thank you, Michael. How do we as creators learn from the mistakes, I'm sorry to say it like that our seniors have fallen into, right? How do we avoid the tough times? How do we protect ourselves in the future if we are going to continue being comic book creators and this being such a big part of our lives?
All right, cool. Kenny, what are your thoughts?
That's a tough one. Get a real job. I don't know, man. Move somewhere where the cost of living is like nothing. I don't know. Like, I mean, it just depends. I mean, if you can't make enough money to save money, for the future, that's a problem. So, I think that's a lot of the situation a lot of artists and writers get into is you're taking work sometimes for less than maybe you should, and it's hard to save money when you're not making a lot of money. So
yeah,
I don't know what the solution is for that.
Right. I'm not saying that there is an answer, but what can we think of doing? Right. I mean, what kind of path can we take?
Yeah. All right.
I don't know.
Ed, do you have any thoughts on it?
I think it's kind of like Kenny said. I mean, I have a day job. That's what pays the bills. That's what keeps, food in feeding the family. And, even if, let's say, someone came in a movie studio said, all right, we want to adapt your work, I would still be very cautious about leaving a day job where I have, a retirement pension that I'm set to get in about 8 years. And knowing that that's coming, when you get a sure thing that all right, 8 years, I'll get this much retirement, I'm going to have this much income, it would be hard to give that up. So for me, it's always been, okay, the creativity will never affect our household. It was the kind of agreement I had to make with my wife when I started, is that, I'm not going to spend artist fees and now we're, eating nothing for the end of the month. We're having to, wipe out, get into deep credit card debt. So I think it's keeping a balance, knowing even if you're an artist doing something for Marvel, maybe you have to work part-time or something like that, because for me, the job is always the number one, and that, creativity is what I do after. That's why you don't sleep at night, because you gotta get those creative juices flowing, and you still have to pay the bills. So for me, it's always day job number one.
All right, cool. Tony, what are your thoughts?
You're muted, Tony.
You muted, Tony. Sorry.
Yeah, just I guess like raging against the dying of the funds. I don't know, just trying to see how much money you can squeeze out of your career. How many permutations of a project you have, or if that's none of that's working, then yeah, having a regular job.
Fair enough. Randy, what are you thinking?
You really have to have a safety net or two, or a side hustle in comics. And unfortunately, nowadays with crowdfunding, there are ways that you can actually turn a profit. Mm-hmm. But back when, JD and I were first starting comics, there wasn't. If you pulled a profit, it was a small miracle. You did this because you loved it. You did it because you were driven to do it. I have a commercial arts business that I keep, and I still have a couple of clients that I service and take care of with shirts and banners and signs and that kind of thing. But, if it wasn't for the wife and the wife's health insurance, we'd be up the creek. The wife's got a really good, steady job, and we use her job to pay the bills and to provide for the health insurance, and use my job for the extras and to have fun. So it's usually the way that works.
So you work together. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Randy's cheating the system. He's got two incomes through two people.
A couple of different incomes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the answer is marry rich.
Well, it's not rich, but we're not necessarily, in deep poverty either. So.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, two income household is a huge thing. Mm-hmm. And then if your comics are your third income, so much the better. Your comics can then just focus on funding itself. You don't even have to make a profit in that regard. But You know, a lot of this is, you know, the question was like, how do we avoid like Thomas Tenney's situation or some of these other older guys? We're not really in those same situations because a lot of those guys came in and they were like working at Marvel, creating stuff, and that was their job. And they were making money back then. You know, sales figures were crazy, and you know, all kinds of stuff. Some of that stuff was making enough as far as residuals that they were getting residuals, which doesn't happen anymore. But in our situation where we're coming at it and we're all basically fresh for the most part, and being like, hey, I'm just making my own thing. I'm not working at Marvel. I'm not working at DC. I'm not company guy. I feel like we can focus a little more on what our stuff is, what it needs to be successful, to be profitable, to pay my light bill, versus just relying on another company to hopefully continue to give me gigs, because the gigs are not always there. And that's what a lot of these dudes learned, you know, in the 90s. They got replaced at the blink of an eye by a lot of these quote unquote, you know, new age artists that, you know, had this style that Marvel and DC wanted. So it's a little bit different in our situation. But you still have to have the contemplation of, like, you know, if you're going to do Kickstarter or crowdfunding or whatever for any period of time, you still have to be putting money in your pocket if you want that to be your income, right? Again, if it's just a side income, sure, go get a job and then do this on the side. But if you want the Kickstarter, the crowdfunding, if you want comics as a whole to be what you do, you've got to be doing the hustle like all the time. You've got to be on crowdfunding, you've got to be on eBay, you've got to be on social media, you've got to be at cons, you've got to do shows like this and, you know, raise awareness of yourself. So it has to be a constant hustle, and you have to see, again, this is assuming you want it to be the only thing you do. You have to see that it's working. You have to see, even if it's small steps, you know, you have to see that it's working. And if it's really not working, then you have to really examine what you're doing, you know, you personally, like, am I not marketing enough? Am I not whatever? Two, you have to really look at what your product is and say, like, well, is this not a marketable thing the way that I think it is? Maybe it needs adjustment. Maybe I just need to do a completely different thing, you know, whatever it is. If you're not increasing even in small steps, you have to start asking yourself the hard questions, which is why not? You know, and sometimes it's not even you. Sometimes it's just you have not tapped into whatever zeitgeist is existing at the moment. And you know, it's as if it's not your time, right? Every now and then you'll have your time, like, oh, this is my moment. I do zombies. This is my moment. Go. I do Westerns. This is my moment. Go. But sometimes like in the case of, like, and we always come back to Brian Pulido, right? Because he's like the top of the heap. And, you know, he has the cheat code of having done this at the high point as well. Guys like Billy Tucci and so on, they were back at the high point when everything went crazy. So they have 30 years of doing this. But if you look at what Brian Pulido does, he does the hustle, and it's the hustle in all capacities of everything. I mean, even the Kickstarters are less Kickstarters and more game shows. And so, you know, there are ways to engage the audience that exists in the comic book world. Yes, it's out there. Yes, it exists. How you get them to pay attention to you is always the trick. But you have to see growth and advancement, or you've got to have that second job, that backup job, or reset what you're doing to try and tap into, you know, what is working in comics.
Fair enough. Man, for myself, I mean, it's pretty much like everybody else said. I mean, you have to, I mean, look, I worked professionally in the 90s, and I made a decision, right? I knew people who were moving into Marvel and DC. They were working there, and they wanted to drag me along. And I was just like, I friggin' hate pitching, right? And I was like, I don't know. I found a job, and I started working a job, 401k plan, moved into management, found out that I had a real knack for it, kept moving in that direction, right? But I never stopped doing comics. I always knew I started out doing it on my own, right? And I just continued. doing it on my own. And it's just one of those things where it's just like, yeah, I see dudes who had some really good careers, but I'm like looking at them now and they're struggling to find work. They're not doing as well as I would think they should be. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, okay, maybe I wasn't as crazy as I thought I was by doing what I did. Right? Yeah, man. I mean, and the thing is like you have to find ways to protect yourself. You know?
Yeah.
Finding, you know, you have to save for your retirement, you know?
Yeah.
And that's all you can do, you know? And because the thing is, you know, I got another 10 years, you know, before that. And it's just like, it's driving me crazy just even thinking about it. It's just like, holy shite.
I know.
Right? Because it's like, what the fuck? You know? So it's like, it's crazy. It's crazy. But, you know, love comics. I'm going to keep doing them. So, yeah. And I mean, and the only other thing that I can say is this, is that thank God there is an organization like the Heroes Initiative. Yeah. And hopefully he reaches out to her. Hopefully they'll help her. I know he's doing a GoFundMe. So, you know, listen, even if you could just drop in $10, I would say drop in $10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just, you know, yeah.
If you go back through history, you'll see that a lot of the creators, a lot of these big time artists busted their butts and we're always looking for an additional gig and an extra format to go out and work in. Neil Adams had a huge advertising company for years and years, where he made a lot of money. That I've used that as an example. I've got a few commercial clients that I do sequential artwork for their advertising, mascot designs, that kind of stuff, that have proved to be incredibly lucrative. But you go and you look at like Kirby. Kirby was out there looking at all the time for something new, something different. He was one of the first ones to jump in on Pacific Comics. He was doing trading cards and comic strip work, and well, he initially started out doing animation, and all of that. You're always keeping your eyes open. It's using your talents in order to generate that cash, however and wherever that you possibly can. I think that's the search and the quest that you need to keep doing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know,
you can't depend on one source. You just can't. And there's too many people out there that are an example of that. The first stories I ever had printed was with Aardvark Vanaheim with Bill Mesner Loebs, and we're all familiar with what's happened to Bill.
Oh yeah.
You know, and you absolutely have to keep your eyes open and stay aware. Oh, he was born without that arm.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
He worked in a frame shop, framing up artwork, and Bill's always been incredibly adept at that. And it's not his arm hasn't been. It's been granted. It's been a handicap, but it's not something that ever really kept him down. I think what really kept him out of the business was the change in editors up there, and the fact that they just kind of eventually pushed him out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because he's one of the people I was going to bring up is Bill Mesner Loebs. They said he during his time when he was working with Sam Keith on the Max, they say his income was like over $1 million.
Huge, yeah.
In the 90s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He was right.
Early Image guys made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, the movie tie-in. Even now, if he was paid the royalties he was supposed to be paid for the things that he created for the big two companies, he'd be okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can't trust these corporations to keep to their royalty schedules. You just can't.
But
or a good contract, right? Greg Reisman,
exactly. Yep.
The guy who created the Disney's Gargoyles, worked on a number of animated series. Mm-hmm. He's writing a Spider-Man book. His contract came out, right? It was dropped out there. It was leaked, and he was making $3,000 an issue, writing an issue. That's not enough to keep you going for a month. Yes, he has a Hollywood career. Okay, so for him, that's pennies, right?
It is, yeah.
The other stuff that he's making,
yep.
But he's got a name. How many other people that don't have a name that are working there are even getting close to that $3,000 a month per book?
Oh, especially now. You're not. Yeah.
If they're lucky.
Right?
If they're lucky.
Right?
Yep.
You know, and it's
they've actually lowered rates the last 4 or 5 years.
Look at that. I grew up, whatever. I was envious of anybody in comic books. I was, because here I am slugging out in the day jobs, just like Tom. I was doing every other POS kind of job before I had what I have right now, right? And I'm here 20 years already. I'm a few years away from retirement, but every day I fought it tooth and nail, and I still would have been like, oh my God, I would have killed to be on the other side of the table. But then in the time that I'm doing comic books, I've met a bunch of people who, like Tom brought up, never figured out that it wasn't working for them.
Yeah.
And they're still chasing it. And, you know, and they're stay-at-home dads. And, you know, luckily some of them have VA benefits that they can fall back on, right? But some don't. Some don't. And it's just one more thing for everybody to think of. I'm not trying to knock anyone at all. I'm not trying to take away from anyone's hustle. And I'm definitely not trying to shit on older creators. I'm just saying, you know, when we're going through this, there's one more thing for us to think about, you know, in this creative journey that we're all on. That's all.
Fair enough. Tom, you got your question?
Nope.
Nope.
I told you I got all the answers.
I only had one, so don't ask me for another, kid.
Randy, you got another one? Or do you have a question?
Do I have a question? Well, you know, back in the mid '80s, I burned my Marvel bridge very, very efficiently. And that is, I was offered an apprenticeship to go up there and work, to move to New York and go up there and work in the offices. And silly me, I asked him how much it paid. And when they told me, I literally laughed in the guy's face. And at the time, I was going through a divorce, and I'm not moving to New York for $9,000. That's not going to happen.
Right. $9,000 a month?
$9,000 a year.
A year?
Yep,
Wow.
it's starting apprenticeship wages. Not going to happen.
Like
And you'd be amazed. Some of the editors up there aren't making much more than that at this point. I mean, who was it? They're saying, at that point, 30 grand maybe was a good editorial wage up there per year, living in New York. That just doesn't happen. But I've had, you know, looking back on it now, I'm kind of like, whew, I missed that bullet. After, you know, you see people that have gone up there and been professionals for years and have done sweat equity into the companies and the characters that they grew up with wanting to write, and suddenly you see how they're treated. It's crazy. Was there ever an opportunity that you had that you missed on, that little near miss, that in the end you figure out, well, thank goodness that didn't happen?
Fair enough. I think we're Ed. What are your thoughts?
I did get approached by a smaller company at a con, and I don't want to name names because they're in a lot of shit right now. But they're distributed through Diamond. They have some, you know, decent numbers. But when he came up to me, he offered, you know, you've done all the work. We just want to reprint your stuff because you have it trade ready, and we want to reprint your trade that I had already done and crowdfunded. And I said, okay, well, how does this work for profit and things like that? And essentially, if some of them sell, you get some pennies to the dollar. And then I would say about a month later, all of these creators started going online and saying, this company owes me money. They've never paid any of the royalties from the contract. And he was ready to hand me the paper right there over the table at the con. And I'm so glad that I said, I don't even want to look at the paper. What you're offering me is less than I can make if I just run a Kickstarter on my own, and I've already paid for all the artwork. I've already done all the work that you would need to do. I said, what happens when I want to release the next issue after this trade? Are you going to pay for part of the artist fees? Are you going to do anything? Well, they said, no, you just keep doing what you're doing, and we'll distribute you more, and maybe you'll get something, but you're also signing away rights and things like that. And then just the backlash and all of the reality of what this company was doing to these smaller creators that were just like, yes, anything, I'll take that bigger opportunity. And then they found themselves in a terrible spot. So I'm definitely glad that I told him no thank you and walked away from that deal.
Yeah.
Cool. Tony?
I feel like I'm still really green. I haven't really had like an opportunity to really speak out. I don't have a story like that. I feel like there's still so much road ahead of me.
All right. Well, you're lucky, sir. You're lucky.
Yes. Exactly.
I know it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. Kenny, what do you?
I think for me, it's kind of the same thing. I've heard so many horror stories about, all this shit that people go through and all that bullshit. And I really just kind of just been sticking to my own thing and just doing my own thing and not really, paying too much attention to what everybody's doing around me. Cause it's just, it's my thing. And the more people I bring into it, I think it's just going to make it more complicated and kind of more of a pain in the ass. So just kind of, sticking with what I'm doing, just crowdfunding my own stuff and just running everything myself and just, doing what I can do.
All right, fair enough. Tom?
So when I first started, I literally had 2 issues of Penny for Your Soul out. I got introduced to a publisher through one of their writers because the writer liked it and he was like, well, you should bring this here. And so at my very first San Diego Comic-Con, I have a meeting with this publisher and with the writer too. And they're like, oh, this is good. This is cool, blah, blah, blah. And they wanted me to cancel the book because I was going through Diamond. They wanted me to cancel the book. They were like, well, we'll reboot this. We'll restart this. We'll set it under our brand. We'll get these creators to do covers for you, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, I've already got 2 out. 3 is almost coming out. We're soliciting 4. And it's a 7-issue miniseries. So I don't really want to just drop out because we've done really well, with these sales, even though no one knows who we are. So we're really doing well. I don't want to just be like, hey, Diamond, never mind, I'm out, and have a problem with that potentially in the future. I didn't want the people that bought the book to be unhappy that we didn't finish it. So I was like, well, let me just get through 7 because that'll just be early next year. And then we'll bring you volume 2 and you could actually release the trade and volume 2. Or if you want, you can just re-release issue 1, however you want to do it. But they were like, no, we don't want to do that. We want you to just go ahead and cancel the book right now. And then we'll bring it over. And I was like, no. Yeah. Immediately no. And so I got red flags out of that. And at the end of the day, it was the right choice for me for a number of reasons, not the least of which was I built a brand out of it on my own. And I don't know that bringing the book over there would have mattered. In hindsight, looking at the time, the place, the publisher, how it was all working, I don't know that it would have mattered and done anything for me to push it over there. Plus, again, like we talked about with me not wanting a job, right? I would now be under to some degree anyway, I would be under the thumb of whatever editor is there and, well, we want to do it this way and this way, whatever. And I'm just like, I just want to do it. I just want to do it. I just want to run it and see what happens because it was all going really well. So that was really the only time that I kind of feel like I dodged a bullet. Every other time I've worked with somebody, like when I worked for Dynamite on Bad Kitty, that was a great experience. They were amazing. Aspen published my stuff. They were great. Antarctic Press is publishing it now. They're awesome. I'm doing something for Dren Publications. They're basically like, whatever you want to do, man. So I kind of feel like because I did it myself and I just kept going and I didn't for the first 4 years until we went over to Aspen, I kind of feel like I earned a bit of a badge of honor for, hey, you did this by yourself. You grew this by yourself.
Right.
And I think that there's a lot of value in that if you can find a way to make that work for you.
Mr. Rosario.
I got really close to placing a property with a very large corporate side imprint. Met the editor, speaking of San Diego, met the editor at San Diego Con, made my pitch. They loved it, absolutely loved it. Said that they were going back to the main office. They were going to, with my pitch, they were going to show it to the main editor who makes all the final decisions. He was sure that I was going to have contracts within a week. And he completely, I was so excited because he completely wrapped his head around the property was going to be great. They were going to use some of their characters and some things with characters that they hadn't used in years. He gets back to the office and he gets rejected from the title of the property because they had already signed contracts for another book with almost the same type of title, almost. And I got to see that title literally get treated like crap with that company and crash and burn. And I'd sitting there again going, who dodged that one? But it was, if it had gone the way that it should have gone, it could have, been a major up ramp for me into corporate comics, you could say. But I still haven't done anything with that property to this day. I was really up on it at the time, and the editor and I were just on the same wavelength. It was just gonna be absolutely fantastic. And I come home all excited just to, within a week get that little email and sorry. But no, it was rejected because of the title. I said I could rename it. Well, no, it's too late now. So there you go. But,
Jay, what are your thoughts?
Missed it by that much.
I think everybody knows my horror story. At this point, you shared with me. Randy shares it with me.
Well, that's a bullet you took. We're looking for a bullet you dodged.
That's another bullet that technically we did dodge that bullet too, but it wasn't the bullet wasn't there. That's the thing.
We dodged the grave. We dodged the grave, but I think we got hit by a couple of those
stupid blanks in the guns. What it was.
Yeah.
So other than that, I got nothing with any major brushes with anybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I can't tell you the times that I thought this big publisher was going to take this property and it was going to go over real well, and it just fell flat on its face. And you sit back and you look at it and go, "Whew." The guy who does there's a guy who's got a big book over it, not a big book, but he's got a book over at Image right now. Him and I were in with another group that was trying to build up a company, and it got to the point, because I've been burned enough in the past, where I started asking him for contracts and with some figures, and they didn't have any money to start their publishing company. It's like, well, there you go. Yeah. And other people I've done entire packaging for that I never saw any money back from. There was a company up in Canada I packaged 2 properties for. Did a 2 books on one title, 1 book on another title. They told me it was the best book that they've ever had, the biggest seller, and I said, "Great, send me my royalty check." Never heard from them again.
Well, that'll happen. I think the only, aside from the situation Jay was referring to, the one other situation the bullet that I felt I dodged was this one company who had come out strong, was doing some stuff that I really enjoyed, that I thought was going to really work. And I wanted to place, Oswald with them. And I started talking to the publisher. And man, it's a good thing, because he liked it. He said, "Listen, it's something I've been looking at for a while." He saw my campaigns or whatever. He says he's been enjoying it. He wanted to talk to me. And we started talking. And in talking to him, I realized this is someone I can't work with. Right? Personalities are just too strong. You understand? He's asking me to have changes made to our work. And I'm like, dude, I'm paying people for this. You're not paying these people for this. I'm paying these people for this. So the more you ask for, the more that's coming out of my pocket. How much are you guaranteeing me that we're going to make? You're going to say, "Oh, I can't guarantee anything." Of course you can. So please stop asking me to make changes. And then they were superficial changes. These weren't like critical story changes. This was like, "Oh, have your colors do this, this, and this." You understand? And I'm like, "But dude, it's already colored. It looks fine. Right? You said so yourself." "But yeah, but I want it colored like this." But I'm like, it's not going to happen, because I got to repay this guy to recolor. Right? So you're going to double my expenses. And then to find out, pushing forward into the future about a year or so, a lot of this stuff that he had going with other forms of distribution didn't work out. His sales were not as great as everybody thought. There were a bunch of other controversies that he went through. He lost a bunch of publishers. There was just a litany of stuff. The guy's doing all right for himself. God bless, whatever. but would not have been a good fit because, like I said, personalities are just way too strong. You understand? My personality, I'm just like I'd have been like, they would just my immediate response would have been like, "Fuck you," and and that would have been the end of that. And I don't have a problem walking away from a contract, and I don't know. I don't know how many of you have ever dealt. I'm sure all of you have dealt with contracts, have seen contracts, had to sign contracts. When I get a contract, I print it out and I grab my Sharpie marker, right, and I go for my edits because I edit, contracts like you would believe, and I then open them up in a PDF writer. I'll edit the contract to the way I like it. I'll sign it and I'll send it to the publisher. That's the contract I'm willing to sign. And F you if you don't like it. And I've done it about 3 times. And each time they sign it, and there it is. And it is what it is. If they don't, the way I look at it is like this: we can both walk away. No harm, no foul, right? And that's pretty much it. But yeah, that was the other time. Yeah, that was when I was definitely have to dodge. But something we're not gonna dodge. Hold on.
I don't know, Tom. I think my segues are better. I think I have a smoother transition.
Your segues are fantastic, Jay. Now if you could just be quiet while Ed pitches us Cthulhu.
All right, so I have one of the stories in the new Cthulhu Invades Fairy Tales series, and this is a compilation that's put together by Travis Gibb, and it has 20 short stories, all based in the fairy tale universe and also in the Lovecraft universe. And I adapted one of the stories in this, and the story that I adapted was The Fisherman and His Wife, and I merged that with the mythology from the Deep Ones in Lovecraft. So in my story, when the fisherman finds this fish, he releases him just like in the original Grimm's fairy tale. But after the release, the wife says, "Go back, get me some wishes from that fish." And each wish, she gets progressively greedier and wanting more and more. But in my story, each time she makes a wish, she begins to churn into a deep one. So with her first wish, we see that the animals are trying to attack her. With her second one, she gets the wide, unblinking eyes from the deep ones. And then as it goes along, she becomes more and more a deep one until the end, when she is a priestess for Cthulhu, and she and the rest of the deep ones summon him. And that's the page you're right there. That's the final page of my story, where we see Cthulhu emerging from the water.
Right. All right, cool. Well, listen,
This
I had
one's
tried.
funded and already ready to go, so he's hoping to have this book in people's hands by December.
Very nice. Yeah, yeah. Travis always does a great job. He was on here last week, doing his thing. But yeah, Travis, this dude's killing it, doing a great job. And these are really good books. I have the first 2. I'll be getting this one. Anyone who likes Cthulhu mythos or anything, in that realm, these are just fun stories.
Yeah, and they're nice and short. And for this one, I know for some of the Cthulhu stories he's done, there's an overarching story that goes throughout the book, where this one, it was just take your favorite fairy tale and adapt it into something in the Lovecraft universe. And I know he said that this is going to be a 3-part series. So there's going to be 3 books with the fairy tales, just because there's so many to pick from, the Grimm's fairy tales. But now he's also reaching into other creators. So it's not just Grimm's fairy tales, which originally that's what it was going to be, was Cthulhu Invades Grimm's fairy tales. But now he's like, you know what, we're just going to open it into the entire realm. So we'll see the Little Mermaid and, the Hans Christian Andersen ones and things like that also brought into these anthologies.
All right, cool. Yeah, like I said, I mean, these are really good books, and he fulfills every time.
Oh yeah.
So got 5 days left, 544 backers. Yo, man, go grab a book. These are awesome. All right, so let's see who's next. All righty, Kenny, what do we got?
What do we got? All right, so this is Apex Cybernetic Samurai L Lunar Eclipse 3. It's the last book in the second arc. For anybody who's not familiar with Apex Cybernetic Samurai L, it's basically about this Cybernetic Samurai L here. Created his weapon, escapes from the guys who created him, and becomes like a samurai. So basically high action, fights a lot of like crazy kaiju monsters in Tokyo and stuff like that. He's a silent character, so he just kind of just kicks ass. And so this right now we're at the end of the second arc. So if you've been following up with the story, his partner basically, which is this girl Yoshiko Hasegawa, she's gonna go rescue him, and then they're probably gonna go kick some more ass. So yeah, pretty much. Yeah, just been doing this forever. We got the coins. JD loves the coins.
Yeah, that's how you get me every time, bro.
I know. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna do coins anymore. I don't know if JD will come back if I don't do coins again. Gotta get that JD money.
Yep. Listen, man. You know me, man. I'm an easy mark. I'm there for you. You put a coin on there, so yeah, okay.
They're pretty cool. I like them. I don't know if I don't have any on my desk in here, oddly enough, but yeah, they're pretty hefty.
Yeah, they are.
We got it made by the same guys. The first ones I got made by I can't remember the company, but from the second book on, I've done a coin for every book, and from the second book on, I've done the same people done my coins, and they've just been great.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'm doing hand drawn art with one tier. I think is I did this with my Blue Heart Emoji book on my last campaign. I did a hand drawn art with one of the tiers. I ended up drawing like 100 different drawings for people last time, so it was kind of crazy. So I don't think I have so many to do this time, thank God. But it doesn't hurt to get paid for your art, right? So
this is true. All right, so is this a new story arc?
So this is the very end of the second arc.
Okay, gotcha.
This is book 6 in the order of the books, and then we're starting the next arc. The next arc is going to be the final arc. I've been doing this series for almost 7 years now. So I started in 2017, and yeah, it's just been taking forever to get it all done. It's just chipping away at it a little bit at a time.
Yeah, cool. Listen, it's a great book. I've always listen. I enjoy the hell out of these books. They're a lot of fun. So everybody go check this out. So, and listen, the coins, they're not too shabby either. Go get a coin. Shit's awesome. All right. Bam. Tony.
Oh, hey, that's me.
This is you, sir. Do you want me to play the video?
You can. I'll tell you about it. Well, you can play it first. It's just a minute long.
Welcome back, readers. When we last left Los Angeles, Alan Miller, our ex-detective, had nightmares about strange beings. He was tasked with finding out who killed Detective Patrick Perkins, a man whose heart had been removed. With no leads, Miller had a run-in with a UFO, who informed him that a shapeshifter knocked off Perkins. The kicker? The monster also hides within Central Police Station, alongside Alan's fellow officers. Alan deemed his experience utterly bonkers, until he found the UFO he encountered yapping to the captain. The detective barged in to let the alien have it, but instead found Alice Tate, his new partner. The stage is set. The hard-nosed detective and the eager rookie set off to find their elusive killer. In our next chapter, the two traverse 1940s Los Angeles, meeting UFOs hiding in plain sight as their mystery gets stranger by the day. Meanwhile, the shapeshifter remains at large, hunting down the other detectives of Central Station. Book 2 is penned by Mr. Tony James, a writer of sorts, lover of old noir and science fiction. Returning with vigor are his 3 able-bodied artists, aces in their own field, much like our detective. And hot diggity dog, get a load of our new rewards. Many of them are exclusive to this very Kickstarter. Be sure to peruse the add-ons as well. Commemorate your purchase with these additional items. Don't be a fuddy-duddy. Back Star Noir today. It's the only way to defeat the communists.
Okay, so it's Chinatown meets the X-Files. Very spooky murder mystery. Aliens hiding in plain sight. We've been ping-ponging between Kickstarter and Indiegogo. There's 6 books in this series. We just finished the second book. It's going off to the printer. Just wanted to let people know if you're trying to be part of fulfillment, if you want to kind of, get in before we shut the door. You can grab it through Indiegogo and then in October, we're going to do the Kickstarter for book 3.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. So that'll be what? 2 in 1 year?
Yeah, two in 1 year.
Right.
Yep.
Nice.
Very
nice.
good.
Very nice. Yeah, listen, I always like playing the video because your videos are always awesome. So,
Oh, thank you.
and then how the hell did you get that cat to wear that shirt?
Well,
I try to put a shirt on my cat. It's just like,
the
close
cat's
to
not
death.
wearing a shirt.
Huh? Well, he's wearing a little sweater in the video.
Oh, in the video, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it's when it's cold, she'll wear anything.
Okay, gotcha. Because my cat will be like, nah, it's not happening.
Oh yeah.
Claw you up for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone's really loved the first book. The backers who've seen the production of book 2 have really enjoyed it. And then there's still a 9-page preview of the first book that you can read totally for free. There's a link at the top of the campaign there. And yeah, I spend every day working on this book, and then eventually we'll add another series to the mix.
All right, cool. Listen, awesome looking book.
Thank you.
Incredible. I mean, you have April. Well, how much longer are you gonna keep this open?
Well, actually, the in-demand thing for the first book is still going. There's kind of like, when I launched the Kickstarter for book 2, I was like fulfilling brand new orders while I was launching the Kickstarter. So, this will be up as long as people want to keep grabbing a book through it.
Okay, cool. All right, very nice. Listen, great book. Looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's see. Oh, okay. I guess the only thing that's left is my book. So I will just put this up real quick. This is Dreamweavers. Issue 1 is a 48-page full-color book. This is a book that one of the first books I ever did. It's about a group of 4 kids. Whenever they go to sleep, their 4 role-playing game characters come to life, and they fight demons. And in this world, it's being taken over. And these are their 4 role-playing game characters they come back as. And, they're out there trying to save the world. And it's just these 4 goofy kids having a good time. And these are some of the pages. And this is stuff that I did way back when in the day. This was stuff that myself and my artist and co-creator, Matt Lunsford, did. This was in 92. We were children. We were like 19, 18 years old when we were doing these books. And, I was able to take this, remaster it, re-letter it. Trust me, it needed a re-letter. And it needed, some other things done to it. And we did it in color because the original book that we did was in black and white. So now it's in full color. So it's coming out well. We got another 21 days. We've already funded. We got 57 backers. We're 2,300. So, we're moving in the right direction. So thank you so much, everybody. And please, if you want, go check it out. It's on Kickstarter. So, all right. And Tom.
Shows you what a great colorist can do. He can take that black and white book and make it look like a whole different product.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let me tell you. Tom, do you have a question?
Nope.
Okay. All right, I got one.
I got one. What? Okay.
What?
Go for it.
Sometimes the gears are spinning this late at night. Yeah. Not every time. Sometimes.
No, it's good. It's good. I'm happy.
All right. So, do you guys put in items in your crowdfunding campaign just to get certain select backers to come back from the past? Right. So, I mean, Kenny was talking about the challenge coin. He put the challenge coin in because he knew Calderon would come back for it. Are there items in your campaigns that you throw in there because Bobby, Gina, Jimmy would come back for those items besides just the book?
Yeah, of course. I just did a recent survey asking people what they wanted, and they overwhelmingly were like, stickers. We want alien stickers. And so, it behooves me to make that happen for them. So they're a guaranteed backer.
Nice.
That's good. Kenny, what are you thinking?
Yeah, coins have been a pretty good draw for a lot of people to come back and get them. JD knows. I just been trying to shake it up a little bit too, kind of trying not to add too much stuff, but maybe simplify things as well. Because I feel like sometimes I go to a Kickstarter campaign and I'm like, holy shit, there's so much stuff here. I don't even know what to get. Like,
Yeah.
You know, so I feel like for a while there, it was kind of like that, where you're just adding stuff to it all the time. I've kind of been paring it back a little bit, trying to add more like, you know, things that I can make, you know, hand drawn art, stickers, and then obviously like the bigger items like coins and stuff like that. And then just make them available to everybody. I used to use them as like kind of like a 48-hour kind of thing. I think that was the first time I did it. It was like a 48-hour reward or whatever, like an early bird thing. And then after that, it was I think I was giving it to like the first 75 backers or something like that. And then people were just asking me, can I just buy it? Because like they come in like 2 weeks later and they couldn't get it. I'm like, yeah, I'll just put them up for sale. So yeah, it seems pretty cool.
All right, cool. Ed?
I haven't really found that one, you know, outside of the books. Like people really like the foil covers that I do and stuff like that. But outside of the book in the merch realm, I haven't hit that one thing that people, you know, want over and over again. I'm trying my next campaign for Immortal Era. I'm going to have a Garbage Pail Kid, because I had a Garbage Pail Kid artist design a Garbage Pail Kid with my characters in it. So I'm going to have that. And I'm going to have, I got a chibi sticker done as well. So I'm going to see if those things really resonate with people, because the Garbage Pail Kid artist and the one who did the chibi artwork have both said that they'll adapt any characters from the series. So I'm starting with my main character with the Garbage Pail Kid and with the chibi sticker. And then if those take off, then we'll start doing all of the characters in the series. So I'm still doing a lot of experimenting. I don't do, you know, coins or plushies or anything like that. So, you know, I'm probably missing a portion of people. But what I found is I started by doing T-shirts and stuff like that. And there was small demand for those kind of things. So luckily I have a T-shirt place that prints on demand. So I can still put in T-shirts, and there's a few people that have bought every single T-shirt that I've put out. And there's like 12 designs now, and they have every single one. So there are little things like that I do. And if you can find a place where you don't have to print 500 of them and you can print 7 of them to accommodate those 7 people who want them, it's nice. But I know with a lot of things, they want larger quantities. So it's, you know, it's experimenting. Every campaign I try something new, and if it really hits, then I'll continue it. And if not, then I know, okay, it's, you know, throw it on the table and people will come and buy it that way.
All right, cool. Randy?
I haven't done a whole lot of campaigning personally, but I've always found from personal experience it to be a little aggravating when you get a little side bag of buttons and who knows what else in there with the product. I'm just here to buy books and to read great comics. So what the stuff that I've done in the past has been buyback issues. When we do the Shadow Kingdom, we're currently working on the Atlantean, which is a continuation of the characters from the book. We'll be offering Shadow Kingdom again in a different format, and, you know, trying to get more of the story out there in front of people than concentrating on a specific sticker or tchotchke or whatever. For the Shadow Kingdom campaign, Russ offered the first 50 backers for a special signed print that he did, and that turned out to be a real positive thing for us. So we might do that again. For the artisan edition for the Shadow Kingdom that we're working on, a hardback, oversized hardback with black and white artwork in it, we might actually include a separate story in it that kind of kicks off, gives them a little bit more art. And right now, Russ is just kicking the walls out, doing the artwork for the next book, and he's got this fondness for the old Savage Sword of Conan format, the magazine with artwork that's meant to be in black and white, a little bit of gray tones, a lot of beautiful line work, and it's turning out incredibly well, and it's going to be a great product. But other than that, I've been looking at doing a Tales from the Aniverse collection. Been talking with Sue Van Camp. That's a property that I had way back in the 80s, and Sue's doing a couple of painted covers for that we might turn into prints. But I really want to do a series of trading cards because we have so many Bizarro characters on that property that I think a trading card set would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But other than that, just looking, you know, just playing around with it.
Hold on, I got to break out my pad and pen. Tom?
There you go.
No.
Fuck it.
No.
I
James?
don't do shit. I don't do shit. And honestly, it's hard enough to deal with this stuff because I have backers who only come and back my campaigns when there's a certain artist involved.
Okay.
And that's it. And I know who, what, when, where, what they buy. And I'm like, this guy is never here unless that artist is on here. So it's already aggravates me that I can't figure out a way to get them to engage in the company, much less, even beyond that one artist. So if I'm going to sit here and be like, well, I know there's 8 guys that want a coin and there's 2 people that want a plush and there's 6 people that want a shirt, I don't have time for that stuff. So, we do obviously our stretch goals and stuff where we have created like collections, we have, so for example, Bunley Young does these great chibis. And so for the last few years, pretty much all of our campaigns have unlocked 2 or 3 like chibi magnets or stickers or whatever. And so over time that's become like a collection. And so people have been like, oh, are you going to have more of those things? And I'm like, yeah, but that's not like, they're not buying it. They're just like, here's your stretch goal. And we also do now this year we tried it and people have enjoyed it. We do a day, not even a day. Well, it is a day one. So normally we launch at like noon on Saturday. So we have noon to midnight basically is our day one. And we have a mock-up like wizard, old school wizard cover that we have it's just a trading card. And so every backer who comes in that first 12 hours, it's not even 24 hours, it's like day one. They get one of those cards. And so people have been like, oh, that's kind of cool. I like that. So that's become, again, like a set of things that we're doing, but they're not buying it. It's just, here's a bonus for being here. We've really never done like shirts, hats, swag in that capacity to do that stuff. It just seems like a royal pain in the ass, to be perfectly honest. And
it is.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to see people, and I know a lot of people that do it. I mean, some people do tons and tons of swag, and if I were to ever believe that there would be something that you'd sell like 50 or 60 or 100 of, I'd be like, all right, you can talk to me about that. But if it's like 8, I got other things to do, man. I got 300 backers. I got 300, packages to ship. I don't have time to order 8 of a thing and, get it here and make sure it goes into those 8 people. Is like, forget it. So I'd rather just kind of have cool, fun stretch goals that, again, that we do. Like when we did Penny for Your Soul, when we first started all this, we did poker chips because it's a Las Vegas comic book. So I'm like, poker chips, that fits the theme of things. And so when we did we did poker chips through all 7 of the issues. And so after that, we moved on to, I don't know, was it Scheherazade or something? And people were like, oh, are you going to still do poker chips? I'm like, this has nothing to do with Vegas or poker or like whatever.
It's in theme,
yeah, exactly. Because it became a set, they were like, oh yeah, but we want to, continue that sort of set. So yeah, so we did Oz and Scheherazade and whatever, just different colored poker chips. So that has become sort of our thing is just sort of creating this long form bonus item, but not any like serious swag.
All right, cool. I don't know. I mean, for sale, not really. It's just, for me, it's always been just consistency of putting out the books. But as far as swag, because I think I'm in the same field as Tom. It's more of the stretch goal items, right? Because I think people do look forward to, things like trading cards. One of the things I like doing is metal. So if I can, during a campaign, if I see I'm doing all right, I'll offer up a metal trading card or maybe a metal bookmark, right? But it may be the only stretch goal during that campaign. So it might be like, it'll be like, they'll be like, okay, we reach X, and I'm saying, okay, so I'm gonna give everybody a metal bookmark, right? And I think people really appreciate that because, I don't know, I like those metal bookmarks and the metal trading cards myself. So fuck it if they don't like it. They're for me, damn it. They're for me. Selfish son of a bitch. What do you want?
I will never make a bookmark as a stretch goal. I fucking do not understand it. Everything in the world has a bookmark. Like, how many bookmarks do people need? Holy shit! You got to have boxes and boxes of
What's a
bookmarks.
book plate? I've heard people use book plates. I don't know what that is.
Book plate is something
book
that you
plate,
like
kind of.
stick into the book, and usually it's signed. Like it'll have the writer and the artist like sign it. But oftentimes they'll do that because they don't want to ship the books around to get signed.
Right.
So they'll ship around the book plate and they'll sign the piece of paper and then like stick it into the book.
Or the ones that come shrink wrapped as well. They don't want to have to break the wrap.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you'll get them with
sort of a pseudo COA.
Yeah. They'll be tipping in is when you glue it in. So it's a printer.
Oh, okay. So what's a remark?
Remark is a drawing. Somebody will draw on the cover. Like say you got a Superman and it's like a Jim Lee cover, and then you get your artist to draw like Wonder Woman up in the corner or whatever. That's a remark.
Yeah, and it's usually a simple little sketch.
Yeah,
I gotcha. Okay.
Quick little headshot usually.
All right. So here's a question for you guys. What was your best year as a creator? All right, Kenny, you're up.
I think this year's been pretty good. I launched the ash can for my other project, Blue Heart Emoji, which was pretty successful for an ash can, and I'm just still plugging away on Apex. So I've just been doing a lot of shows and just trying to get it out there, and doing shows and stuff like that. So I did cut back a few shows this year. I've just been kind of a little more selective about how far I want to travel, because some of the shows are 10 hours by car, and I don't really feel like driving that far. But it's been pretty. This year's been pretty good.
All right, cool. Ed,
I think the best year I had was 2021, and I launched a campaign right at the same time that the stimulus checks went out, and it pulled double the backers, double the money that I'm used to getting, and I was finishing up a full story arc as well. So people were like, okay, this is going to close out a story arc. It was a 6th issue. And that one, I still haven't got close to catching it because, that was, I launched it. And I think day 4 of the campaign was when people started to receive those funds. So I had so many backers and was making more money than I'm used to. And then the next one, it was like such a drop back because it's like, all right, reality was back in the world. People had blown their free money and now they had to become more selective. So a lot of people who always back digital decided, you know what, I may be in England, but I'm getting, the digital backers went to physical. Even the international backers went to physical, even though England wasn't getting a stimulus check, or who knows, I don't know the politics of England, but yeah, all of a sudden my international backers wanted me to ship to them. So it was a crazy campaign. I had to mail over 200 boxes, and I've never had to do that before. Now it's back. I just finished a campaign for my 2nd series, Corruptor, and it came way the hell back down to earth. So it's like, okay, 2021, when everybody was floating around in free money and boredom, that was a good year for putting out Kickstarters.
All right, fair enough. Tony, what do you think?
Probably this year. It's the first time I started tabling. Really actually getting out there. Getting to know other creators who share tables next to you. And then also just having people like really enjoy the book, like right immediately, in front of your face. Like, hey, I bought your book. I walked away, and then an hour later, I'm coming back. and I need you to sign it for me. That was incredible. Getting to finish the 2nd book, which was really tough to make. So I mean, I think this year has been very, very exciting for me.
Cool. Randy?
I guess you'd have to define what would make a good year. I can tell you a couple of bad ones, that were just really crappy, or Rosario's and our situation and that kind of stuff. But there were a couple of years there back when I was doing Flint Comics and Entertainment. I had a little newspaper with comic strips and comic stories and stuff in it. That if you're talking about what your successful years were when you were doing comics, I would consider those. There were 2 or 3 years there that were incredibly successful for the paper, even though it had such a limited reach outside of doing conventions in the area and handing out the paper for free to other folks. did a monthly paper here that we circulated that was advertiser supported, that was free to readers, that we moved 10 to 12,000 copies of, depending upon the print run and that, and got very few copies back on, and we made a nice bit of coin off of the advertisers with. That were real good years for me. But in comics, everything's kind of a blur, depending upon the project and what's money going in, money going out, kind of thing. So
fair enough. Tom?
So it would have been like, well, there's two answers to this. The first would be when we were doing this prior to Aspen, we were launching Scheherazade. We were touring around doing cons. We had our own island at C2E2 with like 6 artists there. We had crazy momentum, and that would have been like 2013 or 14, I think. Was when we had that we had Big Dog Island at C2E2. J. Scott Campbell was doing covers, and it was a wild period of time. We had books in the Diamond Top 300, and it was crazy. It was really crazy. But then in the context of like modern day now, I think everyone's answer is going to be pretty much similar in the crowdfunding realm, which is 2020 and 2021, because people had to sit at home and they got a check and they were like, well, what do I do with this $1,500? So we had a great 2020 and 2021 as far as crowdfunding, as far as just like live sales, because again, people were at home, they were watching these shows all the time. Everybody needs to stay home is what I'm saying. Like, everybody go home, stay at home, tell your boss you're staying at home.
It's good for traffic.
It is. All the trucks that have your Amazon, they'll get there faster. It works. It works, America. Stay the fuck home. So in those couple of years, those were really, really good, big pickup years for us. And just like everybody else, it's slowed down in 22, 23, and 24 has been pretty good for us so far. It's been a nice sort of rebound from kind of the fall off of the last 2 years. We've kind of seen a pick back up, but still nothing like it was in 2020, 2021. But that 2014 year was something really crazy. And then 2015, we went over to Aspen, which was a different kind of good. But it also, we didn't do it right, because everybody that was following Big Dog Inc. didn't figure out that that's where we had gone, despite being reported on websites like Bleeding Cool and Newsarama, and social media existed at the time. Like, somehow people thought we disappeared, like Big Dog Inc. didn't exist anymore, even though we were dual branded at Aspen. So it was great in the context of being introduced to all of their audience, and we were at the San Diego Comic-Con booth with them, and all of that stuff, and we picked up all kinds of people from them. But we lost so many people that just were like, well, I guess they don't exist because they're not in the Big Dog Inc. section of Diamond anymore. And we still have that now, because we're not in Diamond under Big Dog Inc. We're under there for Antarctic Press. But even now, like, I was at Motor City this year, and I had people come up, they're like, "You're back?" And I'm like, "No, we've never stopped. Like, you might be back, but we've literally never stopped over the last 8 years. We've just done this in different ways." And they were like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it. I had no idea all of this happened." So, that's just what it is.
Cool. Jay?
Last year was a good year. I got 4 books out. We started doing conventions again. We built up the war chest. We quickly exhausted the war chest. And took a big fall this year. I mean, like, flat on my face, hardcore. So last year was a good year.
Did he freeze, or was that me?
No.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, maybe you.
Maybe.
You got a new unit. How are you freezing?
No, you look like you froze. What's funny is everybody else was moving. You were the one that froze. That was the funniest thing. Yeah, it's weird. Okay, no. All right, cool. For myself, what's funny is it's not so much a financial thing. Like I think my favorite year was probably I don't even remember if it was 91 or 92, but it was the year I got my very first book from Brenner Printing.
Oh,
And it was I got that book. I remember I was sitting at work and I got it on a Monday, right? I got the envelope. I had them ship it to my job. I got the FedEx envelope and I had the first copies and I cracked it open and I looked at it. And later on that week, I would get the shipment from Brenner. It was 5,000 copies of this book we'd done called Revelations. And we had a convention we were going to. It was going to be our first convention. It was in Philadelphia. It was the convention, I don't know if anybody remembers, where Todd McFarlane debated Peter David. Okay?
no, he showed up in the chicken suit.
No, this was the one where he was in his shorts.
Oh,
He was like-
so
he was
he
in his
did. He did a second one where he wore the chicken suit.
No, this was the first one.
No,
Yeah,
no,
I
he
think the
did
chicken
one where he
suit-
wore a chicken suit.
Yeah, that was later.
Okay,
That was later. I was at the first one. But
gotcha.
I remember flipping through that book. I was 20, I think, at the time. And I looked at my boss and I was like, yeah, Friday's my last day.
Wow.
And that was a great moment.
Was Friday like your last day?
My Friday was at my last day, bro. And I come back.
So when you asked for your job back on Monday, what did he say?
I didn't. We killed at that show. We killed at that show, bro.
Nice.
Yeah. We killed at that show. And actually, no, you know what's funny? It wasn't that one. It was a Javits show. And we were right in front of Charles Vess. That was the show. The Todd McFarlane thing happened later.
Gotcha.
This was another show. This was earlier. But yeah. And I remember telling my boss, yeah, Friday's my last day. She was kind of surprised. I didn't really understand the whole thing about putting it a 2-week notice. I didn't, I was I was kind of young at that point. I was really not that bright.
What a
But-
punk.
Yeah.
Seriously. But I did a comic though. It was great.
Comic kids, man. What a bunch of
Let me
punks.
tell you. Let me tell
Really?
you. Yep. Tom, you got one?
No, I told you.
I got another one. I'm ready.
I'm
Yeah,
the
yeah.
answer man.
Got nothing.
I'm
Go
the
ahead,
answer
Jake.
man.
We're not used to going through this stuff so quickly, so efficiently.
No,
Sometimes
exactly,
we don't even
yeah.
get to the second question. So this is we're not prepared. We're not prepared at all. But since we're on the point of conventions, how far would you travel for a convention? Or is there a convention you would never do again that you did before and why not? Oh my God. Randy's like, I got hours of material.
Oh man, I got stories. Yeah, I can tell you stories.
I can do a full 20 minutes on just one show.
Drove all the way across country and did a show in New Orleans.
Oh, nice, man.
It was fantastic. What a great time. Nobody showed at the show. Nobody at all. After the show was phenomenal because we all went out and ate at the best foods, and it's Bourbon Street. It was like a couple blocks from Bourbon Street, and it was all the nightlife was incredible because we knew a performer that was working at the Golden Lion at the time, and just great afterlife. But the show itself was the deadest show I've ever done, and Adam West was there during his grumpy period, sat behind the table like this the entire time, talking to nobody. There was nobody at that show. It was great. Got to talk to Dwayne McDuffie for quite a while though, which was fun. And like I said, the afterlife. Got to get up. I couldn't sleep. Got up at 4 a.m. and walked through Bourbon Street and took pictures. It was a good time. I lost my ass, but it was a good time.
Had fun doing it at least.
Yeah.
So Ed, show us.
For me, the farthest I've traveled so far, I'm in Southern California, and I've done Tampa and I've done Nashville.
Nice.
Had good results at both of them because Tampa was one of the first cons that reopened in all of the U.S. Mm-hmm. So the cons that I did in the end of 2021 were spectacular. Every single one of them was, because people were just hungry to get out there and spend and find new things. And, it was an incredible run of things. I really would love to travel anywhere. I mean, I'd love to hit a show international, but traveling with comic books is a gigantic pain in the ass, especially if you have to hop on an airplane, because those fuckers weigh a lot and you got 50 pounds to deal with. Although I found a loophole when I went to Nashville, they don't weigh your carry-on bag. So my carry-on bag was a friggin' brick. And he's like, what the hell is in this thing? I'm like, comic books? He's like, all right, because, you know, they don't have a weight limit on that. And every other bag, I'm like taking it to 49.8 on the brink of being too much and having to pay. And thinking of trying to do that internationally sounds like a nightmare, but I would still love to give it a shot. And then as far as shows I won't do, there's a horror con in Los Angeles where the person who runs it, last year he was having trouble getting exhibitors to go. So all of the exhibitors that had already paid $700 or $800 for a table found out that the people that booked that same week were getting theirs for $100 or $200. It was something like everyone was just so pissed off. He kicked out one of the celebrity people that were there to sign autographs because they were eating in the hall. He's like, no outside food's allowed in here. I'm like, that's your star right there. I mean, you can't kick them out. And I watched him kick someone out of that one. But just, when I'm talking to my neighbor, they're like, yeah, man, this is a great bargain for $200. I was like, what the hell? I paid $750 for this same exact, 10 by 10 spot. And then he was like, well, we just needed vendors, and it's better to have vendors in here and let them pay less. So he's trying to justify the fact that, like, don't give me that. Give me $500 back if that's your whole philosophy. So, that one, he's skulking around at LA Comic Con, and he sees me and he kind of ducks his head like, I don't want to hear what you have to say. And finally I wave him over. I'm like, all right, man, I heard what happened. And he's like, well, no, I'll make it right. And never heard from him again. Now he's, he'll never contact me again. But that's the one. Like, I warn people, like, when he goes to the table next door to me, I'm like, don't believe the lies, man. Just, if you want to go, wait till the day or two before the show and then book your table for $100 or $200. Hey, take advantage of him being a scumbag, but otherwise, no way.
Let me know which show it is in the private chat.
Got it.
Yeah.
If I was running that show, everybody that paid the $750 or whatever would get at least double space.
Right.
Yeah.
And I did call them up and go, hey, I'm tight, or I'm wide open for space. I got a lot of floor here. Bring enough stuff to fill 2 booths.
Yeah, and I can always do that. I have 4 tables. I have, I can do a giant thing where I spread out and I have original artwork and stuff like that. Most shows I don't even bring it in. I have shirts. I can do a rack of shirts. I mean, I can make it look like it's full, because I did a smaller one. It was over the summer, and he said, like, look, we're having trouble with exhibitors. How much space can you fill? I'm like, I will bring all 4 tables. I will fill everyone, and make my backdrop look really good. So he did that exact thing you said the other guy should have done. And of course, my guy at this one was just like, let me just sell them. Let me undersell people. And, my early bird special for $750. And this guy doesn't provide tables, doesn't provide chairs and all that. And that's one. Anyone who worked it last year, if you find and talk to them, they're in the same boat. Like, that
was that show last year or this year?
It was last year. He's doing it this year. And I always comment on his Facebook post that seemed to keep coming on my feed. Like, don't trust this one, like 9/10 of the celebrities that were supposed to be there didn't show up. So it was like the top celebrity at a horror con was someone who died in like Halloween 8. So someone with 30 seconds is your A-list. Because the ones that a lot of the celebrities, when they kicked out one of the other ones, they walked out too. They're like, all right, if that's how you treat the celebrities, we're leaving. And it was a nightmare experience. I mean, I'm lucky. I was able to make my $750 back when there was no one in the room, because I just became a friggin' carnival barker, screaming out, hey, check it out. Comic books right over here. I mean, just anything to get eyes on my table. So it was, an uphill battle. And, oh, man, that's the one.
That's a bonehead business move that he'll never recover from.
Yeah. And
because
he's
everybody's
trying to do it
unless he jumps his table prices down to $200 a piece.
Yeah, and maybe he did. I don't know, because he's not contacting me, because I've not been nice online. Whenever he posts something up, I'm like, He treats his exhibitors like crap. You know, go ahead and talk to all this list of people and they'll tell you the same thing. And, you know, then I get blocked. So he doesn't want to hear from me or anyone else that dealt with him. But yeah, that's my one. That's the ultimate nightmare experience. I hope I don't duplicate it because at least you had fun. I mean, I'm just sitting there like desperation trying to make sales all the things he had promised. He's like, oh yeah, we're going to have a killer clown screening and it's going to be amazing. And if he had done that, it would have been great. He's like, well, we couldn't get the screening, but our bags have an image of killer clowns from outer space. So that's just as good. So yeah, man, I could go on and on, but that's the one.
Real smart.
Yeah.
Tony, I mean, you said you just started shows, so hopefully they've all been good, but you know, what have you got?
They've been good. The farthest I've been to is Brooklyn, which from Astoria, Queens, is a huge trek for me. I'll travel, at least a state or two to a convention. So Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts, none of that's a problem for me.
Cool. Kenny, what are your thoughts?
So I've only had one really bad show. I mean, I've had a couple slow ones, which is fine. I always find a way to make the best out of it. A lot of times, there's one show that actually specifically that I go to that's been slow, but it's always worth the trip because I've met so many cool people there, made a lot of friends there. So I always try to go to that one. But I did do one last year. I think it was last year. This show said they had like a certain amount of people come through on their last year, like something like 10,000 people. All this shit, and they said they were changing their venue for the next one, and I signed up for it, and nobody showed up to this thing. Not a single person came through the door. I don't know if they just didn't advertise it or what, but I was there for about an hour, and I was like, I'm just gonna pack it up and go home. And the people that were next to me were like, were surprised that I was leaving. I'm like, I'm fucking out of here. Like, I've never left a show before early. That was the only time I've ever done that. So.
All right, fair enough. Tom,
I've crisscrossed the country for cons, so it's not really a thing for me. If I want to go, I'll just go. When I started, I was in California, so we literally had to crisscross the country to go to like Baltimore and Heroes Con and MegaCon. Didn't have a choice; you had to go out there. Now I live in the Midwest, so it's a little easier to go in any direction that I want. So I talking about no one at a con. We did the first year of Pasadena Comic Con. The first day, this is a relatively big hall. First day they had Stan Lee signing, and so literally everyone that came into the hall was in line for Stan Lee. Like they were just standing in line, and maybe 10 people are just meandering through the hall, this whole time. And they literally just all waited for Stan. When they got their signature, they all left. So all of us are sitting at our booths, and particularly on Sunday when Stan wasn't there and no one showed up. So I was there, and they had a bunch of the Deal or No Deal girls were there. They had the kid who played Baby Superman was there. They had an original Slee Stack. Or not original, but from the movie. Back then he was there. So on Sunday, I was just sitting there hanging out with Deal or No Deal girls, just talking to Baby Superman. Nice. and that was our day, was Sunday, because nobody was there. It was unbelievable. I've never seen anything like that before. Some of the Wizard shows were pretty crappy, but I have never seen anything quite like that disaster. As for shows that I won't do, there's a bunch. New York Comic Con.
You best.
But that's not because of the con. The con is actually really, really good. It's just I won't deal with the city. I won't deal with the city. I've done it enough times that I'm like, this is not a place for me to exist. So I won't do that again. A couple other places, it doesn't. They don't even warrant being discussed because they're not real. They're nothing, and they made themselves nothing. So, but for the most part, I'm open. Like I get invited to a show in San Antonio. I've never been to San Antonio before. Show down there, Big Texas Comic Con is like, you want to come down? I'm like, how do you know who I am? and they're like, we're going to bring you and we'll bring Nihai Rufino down. And I'm like, let's go, do the thing. And I'll take care of getting myself there because they're taking care of everything else. So that's great. We've reached a point where we do get invited now to a lot of these kind of little small to mid-level shows, which is awesome. And then the bigger ones, I know which ones work for me. So I know if I can pay $800 and I'll be fine if I go there. No, I will not pay $800 and go there. I've done enough, and I know enough people in the just in the community that I know that they've gone to these shows and they're like, yeah, you don't want to be here. So I'm like, yeah, all right. If you don't want to be there, then I definitely don't want to be there. Right. So, we'll just mark that off the list. Like when we used to do all of the Wizard shows back in the day. And the last one that we did, and then I swore them off, was our hometown Chicago. And we had printed 5,000 or 6,000 copies of Legend of Oz #1. This is back when they were giving away like Walking Dead books. Every one of the shows you'd get a Walking Dead variant of some kind or whatever. So I asked my guy, I was like, well, I mean, you're doing it for them. Can we do it? And he's like, yeah, well, you can do it. I mean, you print the books and give them to us. We'll give them out. I'm like, okay, cool. So we bit the bullet and we were like, look, we're going to give away like a shitload of books at this con, even if they don't come to the booth where we had an island. Again, we had an island. They're at least going to take this thing home and figure out who we are. So throughout the con, it's like a few people brought the books. We're signing them. Like, okay, cool. At the end of the con, dude comes up and goes, so what do you want me to do with the leftover books? And I'm like, what do you mean leftovers? You shouldn't have any leftovers. He's like, yeah, we got about 3,000 left over. And I'm like, what the hell? There's like 100,000 people in this hall. How can you possibly not have given them all away? And he says, well, we were trying to give them away just to like the fans, but there were so many, we didn't want to give them to the media people because we wanted to go to the fans. And I'm like, you dumb, stupid motherfucker. You didn't give my book to media who would go home and say, I got this book at Wizard Comic Con and it looks cool, and tell their fans about it. You stupid shit. And I dropped out of all of the Wizard shows and never went back again. And that guy still, even as I told him that, he was like, I don't get it, man. Don't you want to go to the fans? I'm like,
everybody. Yeah.
So, and not long after that, Wizard collapsed anyway. But, there's so many promoters that really don't understand what the hell they're doing, as evidenced by the stories today. Yeah. And then there's ones that think they're trying to do you a favor. We've had this happen many, many times. We're like, hey, you should come to our show. We'll put you right up front. I'm like, you put me right up front. I'm not coming to your show. The front just means that's what everybody's going to walk by to get to wherever they're going. So I appreciate it. I will come, but you got to put me like right in the middle. You got to put me by Artist Alley. You got to put me in an area where traffic is rolling all the time. If you put me at the front, I'm just going to be staring at a door all day long, and no one's going to do it. So, I try and like throw a little education out to some of these guys, especially if they're relatively new. I'm like, look, no one wants to be in front. Really, no one, unless they're like some big entity. In which case they don't care. They're fine.
Yeah,
the entity
can survive that.
Right, exactly right. If it's an entity, people understand the entity. But if it's just like, here's a comic book publisher you've never heard of, whoosh, right on by and off to wherever it is they're going. So a lot of those guys have learned. They're like, oh, that makes complete sense. Like we'll drop you back here or whatever. So I got great appreciation for the promoters that really try and listen to the people that are exhibiting, like, hey, what if you set it up like this? What if you moved this and that? And I've seen guys be like, that's so smart. And then the next year, you get a changed floor plan. So there are great shows out there, guys. We're giving you some weird stories, but there are great shows out there. There are great promoters out there. Don't be afraid to go to your local con. But if you're a creator, specifically a comic book creator, and even more so if you're a writer and not an artist, it's a lot more effort to be schlepping books around, and it's a lot harder to sell books at a con than it is to draw Batman for $50 on a pad of paper. So have an understanding that when you're meeting writers at a con, it's a much different experience for us, because the only way we make money is by selling the product. We can't tap into IP and just draw stuff up for you on the spot. So
We got to
help
sell you
those
a
writers
story.
out.
Yep. All right. For myself, I've gone to San Diego, Chicago, MegaCon. I've been all over the place. So pretty much traveling is, doing what I got to do when I was doing it. Right. Now I'm very reticent to travel and do all this stuff. But as far as a bad show, I had a couple. I mean, listen, they happen every now and again. There was a show in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh Comic-Con was the weirdest show I ever did. I would do, because we did this show probably for like 10 years in a row. And what it was every other year was really good. So you would have 1 year where we would do killer at this show. And then there would be another year we would come in and you could literally roll a bowling ball down the aisles any day of the week at any hour. I mean, and not hit anybody. So, but that was like every other year. Because then you would come back the next year to be killer. The place would be packed. We'd be selling stuff. And we would be drawing stuff. Like we would be grabbing pieces of paper from anywhere. The artists would be drawing stuff and selling, Right. But like I said, and then we would come back the next year and be like, what the hell? And we were always afraid to miss a year just in case. Because sometimes there would be that odd year where we would do well at in that in between. So it was very, very strange show, until it went out. But unfortunately it went out. But the guy murdered his wife or whatever. I don't know what that happened.
What the?
That's a large drama. Yeah.
Yeah. If you go look it up, it was he had I guess he had murdered his wife in another state.
Michigan.
Michigan.
Right, around here. No, not around here, but around the Detroit area. Yeah.
He moved, remarried, and then started doing this show. Ran the show for like 8 or 9 years, and they police up in Michigan found some evidence, and they went and they got him.
Wow.
Holy shit.
And this was like 8 or 9 years later.
He had a comic shop up here in the Detroit area for many years too. That was really, really popular. And it collapsed. There was a big accident in the store, and he moved out to Pittsburgh, remarried, ran the show over there for probably a good decade, wasn't it? Before they,
I think it was
accident in the store.
Accident is right. Yeah. The cops figured him out, and then arrested him, put him on trial. He's sitting in jail. Yeah.
Wait. He killed her in the store?
I do believe that's how that went. Yeah.
Man.
NBC did a one of those big true crime spotlight things on it for there's a good 2-hour docudrama or whatever out there about it. The comic book killer. Yeah.
Right,
and the crazy thing is he put on a great show.
Yeah, it was a good show. It was a good show. I mean,
my favorite Pittsburgh Comic-Con moment was it had nothing to do with the con. It was during football season, and the Steelers and the Broncos were playing, and Tim Tebow was the quarterback for the Broncos at the time, and the game went into overtime, and Tim Tebow had like one play, scored a touchdown. The whole Pittsburgh place, like you could just hear them all go, ah! Like they just melted down because Tim Tebow beat them. It was amazing. It was spectacular.
Listen, they would at that show they would have these kids. I guess they had a contract with the local McDonald's, and the kids would come by and they would be like to all the vendors, chicken or cheese, and they would throw you a cheeseburger or like a chicken sandwich, and they were like, and they would just throw you extras or whatever, and they did this a couple times a day, every day of the show.
Wow.
And they would hand out bottles of water, soda. It was actually a very well-run show.
Yeah.
Oops. But he killed his wife. He was good to people, but he killed his wife.
Not good to his wife.
Not good to his wife. He's one of these people that's probably best kept at a distance. You know what I mean? Don't get too involved. At a distance,
Don't go for dinner.
That's like the guy who ran Dragon Con, right?
Yeah.
He was a pedo.
Oh.
And he went to prison, but he was still on the board, so he was still getting money. It was like,
oh no.
What?
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But Jay, answer your own question.
Yeah, so I haven't crisscrossed the country. I've gone as far as the Midwest from New York, but I've also flown to Puerto Rico for Comic Con out there. That is crazy. That is that's a straight anime show. My poorest experience was a Wizard World Philly, and the way they set up the show was they had the first section, right, and then it was cut in half by Celebrity Row. So no one was getting across to the other side of Celebrity Row. I was at, and I mean, I was across from Neil Adams, and his. If anybody remembers Neil's setup, it was huge.
His 8 tables.
He wasn't making money. He wasn't making money. Man. I mean, we had when you got no line at a bathroom at a con, it's a dead show. That's how you know how well the show is doing. If the men's line at a show is like deep, it's a good show. But yeah, that was that. And then I was at a first time promoter show where he fucked up, and it was a 2-day show, and the second day of the show, half of the hall was booked by something else. And the Saturday night of the show, he was asking everybody to move their tables and to just cut the whole show floor in half. And it was just like, are you fucking kidding me? So like Kenny, the next day I was just there to get my stuff out, man. It was bad, man.
Yeah.
Oh, and the show opened at noon as opposed to 10.
Yeah.
9 on Sunday. It was just like this was a waste of time.
Yeah. Been there, done those.
Yeah.
All right, look, I got one more question. It's a fluff one, so we'll try to run through this one kind of quick. And to go to we'll continue with the convention thing, right? So if you were a show promoter and you had your own convention and you had to pick your top 3 guests for a show, who would they be? I think we were up to Tony. I think so. Tony, go for it.
Well, one of them unfortunately passed away. This Kevin Conroy. That would have been a pick. Jerry the King Lawler. Everybody loves a classic wrestling guy. I don't know. I would pick like probably one of the Power Rangers, and then like an 90s animated like voice actor. That's not Kevin, obviously.
Fair enough.
It's a terrible answer.
No, listen, man, it's fair enough. Kenny, what are you thinking?
I would say anytime I'm asked if I want to pick somebody who's famous to do anything, the answer is always George Carlin. You can't beat it. I don't know, man. There's so many people. I mean, who do you really pick? Chris Bocciolo. And I'm trying to think of somebody else. Shit, I don't know, man. There's so many good picks. Stan Lee'd be a good one. Maybe in his younger time, Jack Kirby, maybe. Let's go with Jack Kirby.
All right, so there you go. There's 3. All right, Ed, what are your thoughts?
So I'm thinking I'll bring in Neil Gaiman just because I'd like to meet him, and he brings that comic industry in. I'll bring Mark Hamill, so you get all the Star Wars people, and you can also get the Batman animated series fans in there. And then I'll bring in, I guess, let me see, for my 3rd, Kevin Smith. So we'll go because he can talk all day and engage a crowd. So I'll go with those 3, even though I don't have the $8 billion Mark Hamill wants for an autograph, but some people do. And
half of it is not his fault. It's the show promoter trying to get their money back.
They're trying to,
right? Because most of them.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have to get the money back if he didn't charge an exorbitant appearance fee.
Yeah,
so
it's Mark Hamill's fault.
I got you. I'll wait till I answer. Go ahead. All right. Who's up? Who's next?
Who would be your top 3 picks?
I couldn't tell you because it's if they're still alive, it's a political minefield.
So
You know?
so give me the ones that are not alive.
No, I definitely would have Kirby at a show in a heartbeat. I would love to try to convince Alex Toth or Steve Ditko to do a show, just one.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a high point, I think, to everybody. Did a show back when Jim Lee was literally an e-ticket ride, right? And did a I don't even remember where it was. I think it was New York. But at the same show, in a table off in the corner, was Harvey Picar and Robert Crumb.
Oh, wow.
Got a couple of Zap comics signed and was able to walk right up to their table, even though Picar was sitting here the whole time, like Adam West was in the New Orleans show, just grumpy. You know, he had that kind of face and a whole aura that you didn't even want to approach him, you know, because he had that look on his face. But yeah, I would do that. Other than that, it'd be oddball. You know, I try to carry a sketchbook around with me for autographs for people that I really respect and want to have their signature from. And I find myself taking that book to fewer and fewer shows. Joe Staten, it's still alive. Joe Staten, I'd love to have at a show just because of who he is. Scott Shaw, on a good day, I wouldn't mind having at a show. The guy who created Captain Carrot, that'd be kind of fun. You know, and again, you'd have to catch him right time, right place. Howard Chaykin would be great. Mike Grell would be a great person to have but hardly nobody knows who he is anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who any of those guys are.
Yeah.
Mike Grell's a nice guy. I met him a couple times. A nice guy.
Well, the first time I met him, he was a grump, but we caught him on a bad day, you know. And the next time we're talking about Michigan and the Upper Peninsula, and he's off to the races. Yeah, you can't walk away from his table. He wants to talk to you about all of his wilderness adventures and everything that he ever. It's great time, great guy. Yeah.
Cool. Tom, who would be your top three?
So it would be Todd McFarlane, and you give him plenty of space to bring his toys.
Yeah.
It would be Arthur Adams because he's God, and it would be Robert Kirkman because he will bring all of the Walking Dead people without the requirement of having any Walking Dead people at your con, and you can have a Comic Con again, even though you have tangential elements that connect to Hollywood.
No, fair enough.
Oh, Alex Raymond, that would be great. Milt Caniff, Hal Foster, yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah, that's a good lineup.
Greg Frazetta, that's a phenomenal lineup. Yeah, Allison, that's dead on.
If I want to make money, like Tony said, excuse me, wait, I have run a con. We ran a big con here in Brooklyn some time back before the pandemic. It was the weekend Kobe Bryant passed away, and then the next weekend the entire country shut down. So we ran a risk. You know, we had a big con. We did do Power Rangers because Power Rangers sell tickets, right? You've got two generations. Mom or dad will come with son or daughter, right? It's a guaranteed lock. So having Power Rangers at the show is great. I had one of my dream picks at the show, Larry Hama. I am a big G.I. Joe mark, but I'm also a Warriors mark. And a lot of people don't know Larry Hama is also an actor. He showed up on MASH, and he was in one of the gangs that was in the Warriors. So talking about to talk about the set when you had all the gangs there and the hidden police, the undercover guys, the legit gang guys, and the Wranglers who are you got to know New York street talk. So I won't go any further to that. But so hear him talk about that and talk about his trips overseas with like George Perez. I didn't know they were so tight. Was really
George
really
was amazing.
Cool.
Yep. Great guy.
Yeah, but I definitely have AA Arthur Adams there. I'm an Arthur Adams mark, man.
No, he's at my show, motherfucker.
Yeah.
He's double. They all double book, Tom. They all double book, bro. Just so you know. But I'd love to have him. I would love to have him. But I'm an 80s mark. So yes, Mike Zeck would be a nice one if I could get AA. So yeah.
All right. Cool.
Fight for him. We're gonna. Tom is 6'7". I can't.
You go, Pratt. Yeah, there you are.
You go, Pratt. Yeah. Sean Paul one.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
If I had an unlimited budget and wanted to get its wide range of people, and it's really surprised me, there has to be a reason why they've never done this before. I'd have Jonathan Frakes and his wife.
Oh, okay.
In,
Nice.
because his wife is Jeannie Francis, who's played Laura on General Hospital
Yeah.
for eons.
Get the ladies in there. Yeah.
Be a huge draw. Yeah.
Yeah. But one of the things I found out after running the convention is a lot of these people will come in for free.
Yeah.
You just, they're like, listen, can I set up? And you're like, can I use your name on the promos? They're like, yeah. All they want is a table and sell their merch and whatever. I'm like,
Motor City did that for decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get
There's a
one
table
Power
here if you
Ranger.
want to get here. We'll even give you a room. Just come on in. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but then you got to look at who's local.
Yeah.
That's one of the things. Larry Hamill was local. He just wanted a ride.
Yeah.
We got you.
All right, my picks would be Dave Pilkey. That's the guy who created Dogman.
Oh yeah.
Frank Miller, Grant Morrison.
That's three.
You
That's
said
the end
three.
of your show.
You said
That's
three.
it.
Don't keep going.
You get three.
Those would be the three. But if I had to bring in one more, it would be Katsuhiro Otomo.
It'd be who?
Katsuhiro Otomo. He's the guy who did Akira.
Oh, okay. But again, you went 4. You didn't give the rest of us 4. That's
Dude,
not
you
right.
started
That's
out like
the last
5 people.
one.
But
Come on.
it's a good thing. It's a good thing though. We're at this point of the show. Tony, love you, brother. Please let everybody know that they can find you and your work, sir. We've reached our 2.
Okay, you can find me on Twitter at T/J or Instagram at BananaBat. Those are the 2 places to find me. I've also got my own YouTube channel called The Rightist, where I break down storytelling in video games. Yep, those are the places to find me.
All right, cool. Kenny?
You can find me at Kenny Aitken Art on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Also have a new Instagram account, Moonfire Lab, and I think that's about it. Yeah, I got Substack at Kenny Aitken Art, and that's about it. I think. Yeah.
All right, cool. Ed?
So you can find me on all the different social media tags under Finish Line Comics. So I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I also have a TikTok under Finish Line Comics and a YouTube channel under Finish Line Comics. So if you search up Finish Line Comics or you go to finishlinecomics.com, you can find all my stuff there.
Nice. Randy?
You can find my stuff over at aerocomics.store. If you want to reach me personally, probably the best way to get a hold of me there is Facebook, because I'm old and set in my ways. Every once in a while, I'll pop over to X, but not very often. Look for me under my name, Randy Zimmerman. Instead of Aero Comics has a page over there, but I hardly go over there. You can find I do 2 podcasts every week with the Indy Comics Network. Friday mornings at 5 a.m. Eastern Time, we do Comics by Night, where we look at great comics. And then Sunday mornings at 9 a.m., we do the Sunday Funnies, where we look at the more unusual, maybe the little side fringe or comics or other great comics. We sit there and we discuss them and talk about the inner workings on all of them. It's a great fun show where we talk very positively about comics in the industry. So if you're tired of seeing all the trollings on the anti-social medias, go over to Indie Comics Network, the Randy Zim YouTube channel, and check out Comics by Night on Friday morning or Sunday Funnies on Sunday morning. It's a lot of fun. So other than that, you can find Shadow Kingdoms now available with a great painted cover over on barnesandnoble.com, amazon.com, and a hardback version for $39.99. It's a great product. Love the way it turned out. Very proud of it. And there's a lot more coming from Aero Comics. Just keep watching aerocomics.store for more items and more news.
All right, cool. Tom?
So bigdoginc.com. If you need books, go get books. Other than that, we're on all the social media. We pretty much live on Facebook, and then it kind of filters out from there. We're on X, we're on Patreon, we're on Instagram, all that kind of stuff. Just look for Big Dog Inc. and you'll find us.
Cool. Mr. Rosario?
I would always say unstoppablecomics.com, but I'm having some trouble right now with it. So you can look for us anywhere else on Unstoppable Comics, Facebook, Twitter, Substack, Instagram, Unstoppable Comics. Oh, and Friday nights, Comic Book Streamland on YouTube.
There you go. There you go. Very nice. All right, you can find JD Calderon. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those different places. TheOswaldChronicles.com, TallTalesOnline.com, and most importantly, currently on Kickstarter with Dreamweavers. So you go check that out. And just remember, everybody, please go check out the show notes. Go check out those links. Click on those links. They go to everybody's campaigns. Go pick up some books. These are all some incredible indie creators. All these guys are doing great books. Please support your indie creators. Buy their work. And go enjoy them. All right, spread the word, because we need people other than ourselves to spread the word, right? So please spread the word for all of us. Thank you so much. And just remember, everybody, read more indie comics, especially ours. Have a good night.
There you go. Take care.
Later.